Have you ever wondered how a boy, abandoned on the harsh steppes of Mongolia, rose to command the largest empire in history? What hidden forces shaped his destiny, and what mysteries still shroud his legacy? Welcome to discover the secrets of Genghis Khan, the untold story of the man who conquered the world. Stick around as we peel back the layers of legend to reveal the real Temujin, from his blood-clotted birth to his enigmatic grave. If you're fascinated by ancient warriors and epic rises to power, hit that subscribe button now and let's dive in. Picture this. It's the year 1162, near the shores of Lake Baikal in what we now call Mongolia. A child is born into a nomadic tribe, clutching a clot of blood in his tiny fist. According to ancient Mongolian chronicles, this was no ordinary birth. It was a sign from the heavens, foretelling that this boy would one day grasp the entire world in his hands. That boy was Temujin, who would later become known as Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. But before he united the tribes and stormed across continents, his life was a brutal tale of survival that few history books fully explore. His father, Yasuge, was a respected chieftain of the Borjigan clan. But when Temujin was just 9 years old, his father was poisoned by rival Tartars during a shared meal, a common act of betrayal in the cutthroat world of the steppes. Left without protection, Temujin's family was cast out by their own tribe. His mother, Hoelun, a strong-willed woman kidnapped from another clan, now had to raise her children alone in the wilderness. They scavenged for roots, hunted small game, and endured freezing winters. Imagine a young boy fishing with a makeshift hook or trapping marmots for fur. These weren't just chores. They were lessons in resilience that forged his unbreakable spirit. But the trials didn't end there. As a teenager, Temujin was captured by the Taichiud clan, enemies of his father. They enslaved him, forcing a wooden yoke around his neck like an animal. One night, in a daring escape, he bashed his guard over the head with the yoke and fled into the night, hiding in a river until the search parties passed. This act of defiance wasn't just about freedom. It marked the beginning of his transformation from victim to leader. He returned home, but family tensions boiled over. In a desperate dispute over a stolen fish, Temujin killed his half-brother Bektar, a harsh decision driven by the starvation that plagued them. Far from a villainous act in the context of steppe life, it underscored the brutal choices needed to survive. These stories, drawn from ancient texts, show us a human side to Genghis, one shaped by loss and necessity, rather than innate cruelty. As Temujin grew, he began forging alliances. At age 16, he married Borta, his childhood betrothed from the Angarat tribe. But their union was tested early when Borta was kidnapped by the Merkit clan, in revenge for Hoelun's earlier abduction. Temujin, with the help of his blood brother Jamuka and ally Togrul Khan, launched a daring rescue. They raided the Merkit camp under cover of darkness, and Temujin called out Borta's name until he found her. This event not only solidified his marriage, but also highlighted his loyalty and tactical mind. Borta would become more than a wife. She was his advisor, influencing key decisions throughout his life. In a society where women held surprising influence behind the scenes, Borta's role reminds us that Genghis's success wasn't solitary. It was built on strong partnerships. By his 20s, Temujin was uniting the fractured Mongol tribes. The steppes were a patchwork of clans constantly at war, bound by blood feuds and shifting loyalties. Temujin broke this cycle with innovative strategies. He offered protection to those who joined him and swift justice to betrayers. One key move was reorganizing society beyond tribal lines. He created units of 10 families, called Arbans, mixing people from different clans to foster loyalty to him rather than old blood ties. This merit-based system allowed talented warriors to rise regardless of birth. A revolutionary idea in a feudal world. Imagine a common herder becoming a general based on skill alone. It built an army of devoted followers. His name change came in 1206 at a grand assembly called a Kurultai. Thousands of nomads gathered on the banks of the Onon River, proclaiming Temujin as Genghis Khan, meaning oceanic ruler or universal leader. This wasn't just a title. It was a declaration of destiny. From here, his conquests exploded. He first turned east against the Jin dynasty in northern China, using feigned retreats to lure enemies into ambushes. His horsemen, armed with composite bows that could shoot farther and faster than any in the world, rained arrows from afar before closing in. But Genghis wasn't just a warrior. He was a master of psychology. He spread rumors of his invincibility, offering mercy to cities that surrendered, but uttered destruction to those that resisted. A tactic that saved lives by encouraging quick capitulations. One of the most intriguing secrets of his success was his adaptability. Genghis incorporated foreign technologies and experts into his empire. After conquering the Naimans, he adopted their Uyghur script, creating the first written Mongolian language. This allowed for better administration across vast distances. He built a network of yam stations, relay posts with fresh horses every few miles, enabling messages to travel 200 miles a day, faster than any system in Europe at the time. Think of it as an ancient Pony Express on steroids. These innovations turned a nomadic horde into a sophisticated empire. Now, let's talk about his treatment of religions, an aspect often misunderstood. Genghis followed Tengriism, the shamanistic belief in a sky god, but he was remarkably tolerant. He exempted priests, monks, and imams from taxes and labor, recognizing that controlling hearts through faith was smarter than force. During his campaigns in Central Asia against the Khwarezmian Empire, he respected Muslim scholars, even inviting them to his court. One story tells of a Taoist monk, Changchun, who traveled to meet Genghis and discussed immortality. Genghis listened, but wisely replied that true legacy came from deeds, not elixirs. This pragmatism extended to his laws. The Yasa Code banned theft, adultery, and betrayal, enforcing equality under his rule. It even protected the environment, prohibiting pollution of rivers, forward-thinking for the 13th century. But what about the darker side? Genghis's conquests were brutal, leading to the deaths of millions. When the Khwarezmian Shah murdered his envoys, Genghis responded with fury, razing cities like Samarkand and Bukhara. Yet even here there's nuance. He targeted resistors to set examples, but integrated survivors, offering them roles in his administration. This blend of terror and opportunity created loyalty, and his empire's impact went beyond destruction. It reopened the Silk Road, fostering trade from China to Europe. Goods like silk, spices, and ideas wed freely under the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace that connected East and West like never before. Technologies such as papermaking, gunpowder, and the compass spread westward, influencing the Renaissance. Delving deeper into his personal life, Genghis had multiple wives and concubines, as was custom. Borte remained his primary consort, bearing 4 sons who would inherit the empire: Jochi, Chagatai, Ogadai, and Tolui. But whispers of doubt surrounded Jochi's paternity, as he was born shortly after Borte's rescue from the Merkits. Genghis never publicly questioned it, showing his emphasis on unity over suspicion. His daughters, meanwhile, were strategic assets, married off to seal alliances. One lesser-known fact is how he empowered women in governance. Regent queens like his daughter-in-law Toragani ruled effectively after his death, proving the system's strength. Genghis's military genius shone in battles like the one against the Jin at Badgermouth Pass in 1211. Outnumbered, he used the terrain to his advantage, funneling enemies into a narrow valley for annihilation. He pioneered siege warfare, learning from Chinese engineers to build catapults and battering rams. But he also employed spies masterfully. Networks of informants provided intelligence on enemy weaknesses. One tactic involved dressing scouts as merchants to map routes and assess defenses. These secrets of espionage gave him an edge that modern militaries still study. As he aged, Genghis turned westward, conquering the Tangut kingdom of Xixia. It was during this campaign in 1227 that mystery envelops his final days. Accounts vary. Some say he fell from his horse during a hunt, injuring himself fatally. Others whisper of poison or an arrow wound. Whatever the cause, he lingered long enough to issue final commands. He appointed his son Ogedei as successor, urged his heirs to remain united, and ordered the completion of ongoing conquests. To prevent panic, his death was kept secret until victories were secured. His body was carried back to Mongolia in a procession that reportedly killed anyone who witnessed it, ensuring no one could reveal the route. The greatest secret of all? His burial site. Legend holds that his tomb lies on Burkhan Khaldun, a sacred mountain where he once hid from enemies. The funeral party trampled the grave under thousands of horses' hooves, then planted it. Wreaths to erase all traces. Slaves who built the tomb were executed, and their killers slain in turn. To this day, despite satellite searches and expeditions, the location remains unknown. Some speculate it's booby-trapped or filled with riches, but Mongolian tradition forbids disturbance, viewing it as a curse. This enduring enigma fuels endless debates. Is it lost forever, or waiting to be found? Genghis's legacy is as complex as the man himself. To some, he's a barbarian who depopulated vast regions. Estimates suggest his wars reduced the world's population by 11%. Yet, he united disparate peoples, promoting merit over birthright and tolerance over dogma. His genetic footprint is staggering. DNA studies show about 16 million men today carry his Y chromosome, a testament to his descendants' proliferation. In modern Mongolia, he's a national hero, with statues and airports named in his honor. His empire laid the groundwork for global interconnectedness, influencing everything from trade routes to cultural exchanges. But was he a hero or a villain? That's for you to decide. His story teaches us about ambition, innovation, and the thin line between conquest and creation. If this journey through the secrets of Genghis Khan has sparked your curiosity, drop a comment below. What's the most surprising fact you learned today? Do you see him as a unifier or a destroyer? Smash that like button if you want more deep dives into historical mysteries, and subscribe with notifications on. We've got videos on lost civilizations and ancient enigmas coming up. Thanks for watching. And remember, history isn't just dates. It's the hidden stories that shape our world. See you in the next one.